Because if you tell yourself, I can't, it will eat away at you. Your identity has not disappeared. It's rebuilding, and it's frustrating, right? There is no way around that. It is frustrating. It is exhausting, but it is not the end all be all, right? And also, you are more than your injury, or you are more than what your diagnosis is or what your MRI says. You're far more than that. There's so much more to the story. Hey guys, what's up? Dr. Jenna here, and welcome back to the Unchoreographed podcast. Today, we are going to be diving into a topic that I think is quietly going on in the background for a lot of you guys, and that is the emotional toll and identity shift that's happening when you have hip impingement and labral tears. So yesterday I talked with a new client, and I really haven't been able to stop thinking about the conversation that we had. And I wanted to record an entire episode on this because I think this is going on for the majority of you. And it's a conversation that I have often with clients. So this client shared with me that she's really feeling on a deeper level the impact that this is now having on her life, in the sense that she's losing a bit of community. She's not able to go on bike rides or go for runs with the community that she normally does. She is sort of losing a sense of her identity because she's always identified as a very active, capable person, and suddenly is feeling like that's not who she currently is anymore. And that really hits hard, and it becomes extremely exhausting for people to go through. And the thing is, this isn't just this client yesterday. It's most of the clients that I see. And it may not come out in the beginning of the conversation that we have, but usually towards the end or the next couple times we work together, it becomes less and less about my hip hurts when I squat, and more about I'm losing myself as however I identify. So it could be a dancer who is suddenly feeling less capable in their body and like they can't perform anymore. Maybe they can no longer make an income because they're a professional dancer. It's my runners who are missing races because their hip is bothering them, or they know they're going to have surgery and they were so excited about this race that they signed up for. It's the new mom who suddenly is struggling with the fact that she can't get down on the floor anymore with her baby and pick up her baby because her hip is bothering her so much. And if she does, she knows she's going to suffer for it. These are real emotional problems that people are going to go through. And they're deeper than just my hip hurts. Yes, the pinching is terrible. The pain sucks. It is frustrating to not feel like you can get up and down from the ground or run or whatever it is. But behind the scenes, what's really happening internally in your mind is the part that becomes exhausting. It's the loss of identity. It's the loss of your normal life and your normal routine. It's the loss of the connection and the community that you've built or identified with for so long. It's your confidence and your trust in yourself and that self-doubt that starts creeping in. Those are the things that are what make this so exhausting and honestly quite overwhelming at times. Trying to deal with pain is one thing, right? Like, yes, there are exercises that we can do, and there's, a plan that we can come up, whether it's physical therapy or chiro or, surgery, whatever you're going to do. There's always like, okay, there's this thing and then I can fix it, or this idea that I can fix it. But what we have to acknowledge is that there's something much deeper going on underneath the surface. And sometimes those are the things that are going to make progress feel harder, or it's harder to gain trust back in your body. And please know, it is nothing that you are doing wrong. This is just what happens in our brains. Pain and pain science is a crazy thing. And the way that our body interprets it and responds to it, sometimes it's under such subconscious control. We may not even realize that these are the deeper feelings that we're having, but they're there. And so I think it's important to acknowledge it and sometimes just try to figure out what is the deeper root of what you are feeling beyond my hip pinches when I go up and down the stairs. Yes, that's important. However, how is this affecting you emotionally and the identity that you've built? So, while we can have physical stress, that pain will cause us this physical stress, the emotional stress is coming from this identity shift that's happening within you. And again, the thing that I want you to realize about this is it's not forever. It's temporary. It's right now you are in this rebuilding phase, and the hope is that you on the other side will be able to come back stronger. So trusting in the process, I think working with a practitioner who gives you that confidence and trust in the process is also really important, because I think there's a lot of dismissing that can happen in this world. There's a lot of, I've tried everything, and my doctor doesn't know what to do with me anymore, or my physical therapist discharged me because they said there's nothing else they can do for me. That's a lot of dismissal, and that weighs a bit heavier on that emotional status that's happening. It makes you feel like there's something wrong with you, or that you're broken, or that you're unfixable, and you're not. You just need to make sure you're working with somebody who can help build you back up, because this is a rebuilding phase. It's a temporary phase. So if we can hold on to that hope and see the light at the end of that tunnel, recovery really does become a little bit easier. So in today's episode, what I really want to do is give you some takeaway, like tangible tips that you can use moving forward if you feel like you're struggling with this. So we're going to talk through 3 tips of things that you can try if you are feeling a bit of this identity loss, if you're struggling with impingement or labral tears or dysplasia, maybe you've had surgery. All of these things can sort of apply here, and some ways that you can start to reframe your thinking about it to help get yourself out of too much emotional distress, because again, that does not help anything. So tip number 1 that I have is to really try to keep movement a part of your life in some way or another. I think the majority of you out there, if you're listening to this, you identify as an active person. Now, what that means, again, it could be you're a runner, it could be you're a dancer, it could be just that you love to do Peloton or go to group classes, like whatever it is. You identify as an active person. And so when you have pain, and if somebody tells you, well, you should stop doing that because it hurts, you now feel like, I can't do anything. Rest is the only thing that makes me feel better. And I'm afraid to move. And again, this is not going to help anything. It's not going to help your recovery. It's not going to help your emotional state. It's not going to help your frustration. So what we want to figure out is, how can you continue moving in a way that challenges your body but doesn't reproduce your flare-ups? And again, this is important. This is why it's so important to work with somebody who really understands this world, because they can be on your team and help you come up with a plan that is going to work for your body. But it is really important that we continue movement. Now, that movement might look modified, right? It may not be that you're going out to run the 5K today, but can you go outside and take a walk because it's a beautiful day outside, to at least feel like I'm getting out there and I'm doing something? Can you, I actually had a client yesterday who was struggling with the fact that she couldn't go hiking. She loves to hike. And we talked about, she said, well, I can walk 4 miles. That's the furthest I've gone since I had surgery. It's amazing. So, okay, let's focus on that for a second, because first of all, you're staying active. You're being able to be outside. Are you on the hiking trail right now? No, but you can walk 4 miles. So what if we found a local park that allowed, or that you could, that maybe had like a trail that was flat and it wasn't a lot of like rocks and uneven terrain, but it was in the woods, and it gave you a little more of that vibe of, okay, I'm hiking, even though not the hiking that you love, your body can already handle it. So can you put yourself into that environment that helps you feel a little more fulfilled and a little more connected to this identity that you feel like you maybe have lost right now? and still get something out of it. You're still getting exercise. You're still being active. And maybe within that, maybe it's a 4-mile loop. Could you then eventually say, you know what, this is feeling great. I feel confident here. Can I just pick up the pace a little bit the next time I do it? Can I go a little faster? So now I feel like I get a little bit better of a workout. And then we know that you can handle that. So now maybe let's pop back onto that hiking trail. And maybe we start with just a half a mile and see how you feel. So there's ways that we can progress you in the things that you love so much. We just sometimes have to make it look a little different temporarily so that you can get to the longer term goal that you have, whatever that is. Don't stop moving. That's only going to make you feel worse. Find ways to modify movements that you enjoy and that don't flare your symptoms up so that you can still get something out of it and feel fulfilled. Now, number 2 kind of, I would say, leads into this really, really seamlessly, and that is finding something in your life that you can still progress. So again, you may not be able to do everything that you could do before, but we know you can do something, right? It might take a little bit of trial and error to figure out what that is right now, depending on where you're at in your journey, right? Everyone's different. Somebody might be listening to this that's immediate post-surgery, which is going to look very different than somebody who is, a year or 2 out or hasn't had surgery. But no matter what, no matter where you are in your journey, there is always something that you can work on progressing and improving. It may not look like what you hoped it would be or where it used to be, but it's still possible. Could it be something like, you go to the gym, can I just switch up what my gym routine is so I can stick to exercises that I know don't flare my hip up right now, maybe an upper body circuit, that still makes me feel like I got a really good workout out of this. And I can keep progressing that, right? Like I can progress my upper body weights. It shouldn't have much of an impact on my lower body. Again, maybe I have to do a few little modifications, but for the most part, I can progress that pretty safely. Maybe I can, for a lot of my clients, there are things that don't hurt. Maybe walking on a treadmill or running on a treadmill hurts, but the bike doesn't hurt. So can we hop on a bike and give yourself some challenge that way? Can you do some intervals? Can you get your heart rate up that way? Could you, maybe you love to go to a cycle class. Could you not go into the class, but still do the spin class or cycle class on your own at your own pace with movements that feel good to you? Because again, I can still keep progressing those things within my body's capability instead of having to stick to, they're doing this in the class, or I have to use this resistance or, this progression. Well, no, you just have to progress on the schedule that your body is allowing you to progress. And it's important to keep progressing. You just have to find a way that you can do it that doesn't reflare your symptoms. I think what goes alongside of this, and if you've listened to me before, you've probably heard me say this, but I don't think tracking pain as your only metric of progress is very smart. And you're missing a really big piece of the puzzle if that's the only thing that you're tracking. What's going to help you feel maybe like you're making a bit more progress is looking at the other things in your life, because pain is only one metric. And honestly, it sometimes is quite slow to improve, and it doesn't show the whole picture of what you can do now. Maybe you can take that car ride for an hour and get out of the car and not feel like you're 80 years old. And wow, I actually did it and it doesn't hurt. Maybe you can take that 4-mile hike through the woods and no, it's not the 10 miles you used to do, but I couldn't even do a mile, a couple weeks or months ago, but now I can do 4. Maybe it is a very simple win of, I didn't used to be able to pick up my kid, but I did it today and I didn't think about it and I wasn't sore for the next 3 days. So it can be big wins or little wins, but I think we get so caught up often on paying attention to the big wins that we forget about the little things and we don't see the everyday progress that's happening. And it's always easier for an outsider looking in. So me as a physical therapist, when my patients come in here and they tell me something that feels very minor to them, my gut reaction is, we are celebrating this. That is huge. Do you realize that you just walked 4 miles and you just told me that's the furthest that you've gone since surgery 2 years ago, and you're doing it and you're not even thinking about it? Like, that is huge. In the patient's mind, what they're hearing is, or what they're thinking is, but I still have pain. And that makes sense, because our body, our brain is conditioned to feel pain or no pain. We don't feel any of the stuff in between. Or I can do it, I can't do it. We don't see any of the stuff in between. The outsider looking in, it's very easy for me to say, but you couldn't do that before. Or, but you walked 10 minutes now instead of 5 minutes, or whatever it is. These little tiny minuscule things that feel like nothing to you, they're huge, and they build and they compound and they turn into the progress that lasts. So don't just track pain as progress. Find something else that you can track as a method of noticing progress. And I guarantee it will immediately give you a boost of confidence and help you build more trust in your hip much faster. So let's talk about the third one. So the third one is probably the hardest of them all, but I do think that this is really important. And that is to learn how to separate your identity from your current capacity. Just because you identify as somebody who loves to run, but you can't currently go out with your runners group and run the 5K, it does not mean that you are not a runner anymore. Now, I know that that's really hard because you identify as being a runner and you can't do the thing that you identify as. But it doesn't make you not a runner anymore. You are still a runner. So how can we reframe this? How about we reframe it as, I'm in a rebuilding phase. And so right now, I'm going to work on some running specific cross-training, conditioning, things that I can do to make me stronger so that when I do get back to it, I'm going to be better than I was before. Can I still meet up with my running group? Maybe I can't physically keep up with them during the runs, but could I meet up with them before, after, outside of that, whatever? Still allow yourself to identify as that person, but separate it from what your capacity is. Because if you tell yourself, I can't, it will eat away at you. Your identity has not disappeared. It's rebuilding and it's frustrating, right? There is no way around that. It is frustrating. It is exhausting, but it is not the end all be all, right? And also you are more than your injury, or you are more than what your diagnosis is or what your MRI says. You're far more than that. There's so much more to the story. So don't get too wrapped up in it, because again, you will start to talk yourself down. The mental toll that will start to take, it impacts your progress. Our body understands, our brain understands confidence and trust. And when we don't have any of it, it's really hard to progress. And again, nothing that you are doing wrong or intentional. It's just these things that are happening subconsciously in our mind. So how you talk to yourself here really, really matters in how you will progress and the timeline that it will happen. I think it's important to still be surrounding yourself with people who understand you. Maybe it's too much for you to feel like, okay, I can't quite be around that group of runners that I normally go with because it's too hard, it's too depressing, and it wears on me. And that's okay. I understand that. But could you surround yourself with a group of people who do understand what you're going through right now? Can you find a community of people who will still lift you up? Maybe that's in the physical therapy clinic that you go to. Maybe it's in an online group that you found. The only caution that I would give you to that is be careful that you're not doom scrolling, because guys, I have seen some of these Reddit threads and Instagram, TikTok comment holes, rabbit holes. They can be really scary. So if you're going to do that, be careful that make sure that you choose a community that really is uplifting and supportive. Don't go down these rabbit holes. I can't tell you how many times I have people that land in my world and they're like, you are the first person that has made me feel like this is doable and manageable, because all I see are the stories of the failed surgeries and how terrible people are doing. And the comments are terrifying. And guys, they are. So instead, you need to find a community of people who can lift you up and support you, not doom scrolling. But having that community of people who understand it and who can walk through that process with you is so valuable to your healing, mentally and physically. And that also brings me to what I've got a new program that is about to start. It is exactly why I build it. The Hip Lab VIP is a brand new group coaching experience where you will get to walk alongside me in this journey and a group of 10 other people who are going through the same thing. So, guys, one-to-one therapy and virtual coaching, it's amazing. It gets people better. I love it. This group coaching, I think, is going to elevate this experience to a level that has not existed before if you've worked with me in any capacity, because you are going to have a community of people to bounce ideas off of and celebrate your wins with, and also celebrate or I guess also kind of vent some of the frustrations, but more celebrate the wins and build each other up and find that confidence together as a group. So if you have any interest in partaking in this, I promise you it is going to be just absolutely life-changing for you. I will put all the information in the show notes below, but I want to make sure that you know that there is a group, there are people out there who can lift you up and communities that can lift you up. All right, so we covered a lot today. But the biggest thing that I want you to realize is that if you've been feeling kind of at a loss at what to do, if you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, frustrated to no end, and feeling like it's eating away at your identity, please know that this is normal. And it's a very common thing to be experiencing, but there is a way out of it. So it doesn't have to be your forever. You just need to find, again, people that are going to build you up and be able to help work through it with you. So the 3 actionable tips that I want you to walk away from today are: number 1, keep movement a part of your life in one way or another, even if it has to be modified. Number 2, find something in your life that you can continue to progress. Maybe it is working a different body region. Maybe it's a different type of exercise. Whatever it is, find something that you can progress and look at the progress beyond just what your pain level it is, but what your functional capacity is. And the third one, the hardest one of all, trying to separate your identity from what your current capacity is. So I hope that that's helpful for you. Again, I don't think any of these things are easy to do, but please know that there is support out there for you if you are looking for it and you need it. You know exactly where to find me. As always, I would love to hear from you guys. Write in the comment section if you have any questions, comments, anything that you want to talk about. Let's have a conversation. Let's keep the conversation going. If you have any interest in joining the group program, all the information will be below. Feel free to reach out, and I am happy to walk you through if that could be the next best step for you. So I hope that this was extremely helpful for you guys today. I can't wait to see you here back next week on the Unchoreographed podcast. Have a good one.